Our opponent this week, the University of Mississippi, or Ole Miss if you like racial slurs but hate not being able to say them in public. Ole Miss refers to the term slave women would use for their masters' wives as a show of respect. Ole Miss is to good old-timey racism what a shell is to a turtle, what near stardom is to Steve Harvey, and what the mouth of an Ole Miss fan is to gingivitis and bourbon sores. The Ole Miss athletic program is a twisted hunk of America's shame and disgrace, like the final season of Lost. But at least the final season of Lost had the good sense to know when to stop playing. Mississippi has long been a laughingstock in the SEC, thanks to being in the poorest state in the country, having precious few resources, contending with an in-state rival, and desegregation. Mostly desegregation. Ole Miss has more trouble recruiting black athletes than the NHL. They have less to offer minorities than democracy, and they are less appealing to African Americans than a bluegrass festival at Kate Moss's swimming pool. The University of Mississippi is located in Oxford, Mississippi, the summer home of the Klan. Oxford is the Hank Williams Jr. of college towns. Half drunk, impossible to take seriously, more respectable if you pretend the last 30 years never happened, and responsible for a good deal of the humiliation of Fox News. The Ole Miss student body is comprised of the premier, elite, state school attending in the poorest state in the union, almost upper crust socialites. In their finest Abercrombie and Fitch with bowl cuts and floppy bangs as far as the eye can see, and stunningly exquisite debutantes wearing equal parts sundresses, cowboy boots, daddy issues, and alcoholism. The most difficult thing about attending the University of Mississippi is deciding which oversized 1980s sunglasses go best with your noose. An Ole Miss fan is like Sherman, because in the South, you can count on them to burn a cross. Their fan base is a wintry shade of mayonnaise, lumpy and white. They have more upright old white supporters than the Parthenon. Ole Miss football has less satisfied ticket holders of African descent than the Amistad. They have fewer black fans than an Alaskan IKEA. Of course, Mississippians love Alaska. It and it alone keeps the state of Mississippi from being last at everything. The Ole Miss athletes are known as the Rebels. The name is fitting as Mississippi continues to rebel against such enemies as cultural degradation from the outside, basic rules of hygiene, the Equal Rights Amendment, and reality. The Rebels are represented on the field by a black bear, which also makes sense, as black bears are also threatened by modern American society. Ole Miss is coached by Houston Nutt. Nuts is the William Faulkner of college coaching careers. It just runs on, disjointed and overbearing, requiring alcohol to tolerate, much less enjoy, and will die and be buried in Mississippi. Houston Nutt is the worst developer of talent outside of an abortion clinic. His coaching ended more Arkansas quarterback careers than cocaine, and his play calling is doomed more series than Charlie Sheen. Houston Nutt is to coaching what Carmen Electra is to entertainment. A large-chested disaster whose biggest success came from being in the same program as a couple of physical freaks of nature, done in by an inability to pass on anyone. Nutt currently has Ole Miss on a 9-game conference losing streak, the worst in Oxford in almost 80 years. Not that Ole Miss fans are angry. They already lived 70 years in the past, so if Nutt can set their program back another 80, they'll be right where they want to be. The 1860s. Nutt lasted 10 years as the coach at Arkansas, but is already in serious trouble in Oxford after only 4 seasons, proving that it's a lot harder to keep the fan base drinking the Kool-Aid when they're all white. Ole Miss is led on the field by whoever is starting at quarterback for them this week. Nutt has rotated more field generals than Al-Qaeda and is less competent at selecting a lineup than network television. Here's to you, Ole Miss. You are the state highway of college football, a glorified 2-lane stuck in the 60s, the weight of generations of white trash on your shoulders and producing nothing of note but roadkill. You lose in football because of your history, you lose in history because of your people, and your people lose at everything. Don't go away mad, Ole Miss. Just go away. Bigots.